Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Exponential Potential. And we have got a super yummy recording today. I'm really delighted about today's format and I'm hoping that you love it too. We're continuing the theme this month of unlocking the divine feminine power and looking at what that really means. And today I'm joined by a very special guest in a very special context. So this is Z West, and she's the founder of Warrior Minds, which is a dating and health app and also a concept of a non-linear life and leading a non-linear life. So welcome, Z. Uh,
Thank you.
it's great to have you here. And for many people, well, many people who know us in real life probably realize that we bring out each other's shadow selves and our most glorious selves. So being able to have this conversation about feminine power is, yeah, it's exciting, eh?
Absolutely, yes. We've definitely gone on many a work adventure and lots of events around London, and I'm hoping further afield in 2024. So it'd be great.
Superb. So Z, thank you for stepping in and being involved as a guest host and ask anything style session. And yeah, we wanted to really unpack this concept of feminine power and divine power as well. It's great to have you here.
Brilliant. Well, let's dive straight in. And what's divine feminine power all about for you, and why should we all be getting excited about it?
Well, so for me, over the last few years, I have been exploring many different aspects of self-development and also spirituality. I'm going to leave the spirituality side to one side for the moment and really talk about um, power sources and confidence. And as we grow, as we develop, we add on layers and layers and layers of beliefs. And sometimes those beliefs are self imposed, and very often they're beliefs that are imposed from elsewhere. And even more often than we realize, they're beliefs that have been imposed generation on generation on generation.
Absolutely.
So I'm really interested in this sense of divine feminine power and also how kind of some of the former absolutely strong, amazing women in literature and mythology and history have kind of been sidelined or minimized. And actually, it's a bit of our birthright as women to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. So for me, kind of accessing divine feminine power is accessing a power that women have always had, but it's often been minimized or trivialized, but it's definitely there.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think with social media now, and I'm always seeing this female scientist or this amazing woman in this genre, and it's fantastic for education. And I feel very grateful for that, to start learning about more female role models and leaders and people that we should be thanking for many inventions throughout time.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you and I both know that because we're both real tech optimists. We're playing in this space. And when you look at Ada Lovelace, when you look at all of the amazing women that have been involved over time that are, don't necessarily get celebrated for the inventions, but the inventions really do depend on their talents. It's, you know, yeah, it's there. It's there. And I've been exploring the role in mythology. I've mentioned that before because I've developing some guided meditations at the moment that are pulling through goddesses. So goddesses or pharaohs like Cleopatra and the Queen of Sheba, and some of their kind of curious minds, some of their ability of strategic thinking and so on. And looking at Athena first, but Athena is well known for being jealous and
Oh,
spiteful and vengeful. And it's like, actually, she was a huge mentor. She was the mind behind kind of a lot of the events of the time, huge support, huge developer of people around her as well. But kind of the stories that have taken hold are only a really small part of her whole.
Oh, you've definitely prompted me to want to go and look her up now. So thank you for that. And your general journey's been amazing. How did you get your first sort of divine feminine vibe, and what kind of awesome changes has it brought into your life recently?
So I've always been quite open about my journey, and my journey to through success in the traditional form, you know, within a corporate environment, and rising and working harder and getting my MBA at a great uni, and you know, building a family, and all of that stuff, all of those external markers of success helped me to grow substantially. But I just found that as I got busier and busier in those roles, I stopped listening to my own power. And so, you know, kind of some of that divine part is what's actually built into us from the outset. And so as I've learned to listen more and more to my intuition, so different people have turned up in my life, or different inspiration has come through, different ideas have come through in a way that I couldn't imagine. It's yeah, it probably sounds quite abstract, but being able to create the stillness and being able to build up confidence in my own inner voice and to follow some of those instincts has led me on some amazing journeys.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Yeah, I know, like you said, reflecting back, we often have our confidence taken away at an early age and slightly smothered by the way women are seen in society. So I think, you know, as you get older, you want to feel that's refreshed and renewed, and you can have that confidence to take leaps where maybe you wouldn't have in your sort of 20s. So for anyone keen to get started, what are some of the fun and simple ways to bring a bit of that divine feminine energy into everyday lives?
So I bring through a range of different uh, NLP techniques and mindfulness techniques, and I deliberately mentioned some of the previous goddesses, for example, and how you can use your body language as a start to bring out your confidence, to take up your space in terms of power. And one of the ways that I'm really teasing and playing with at the moment is around this concept of borrowing other people's energy and borrowing other people's characteristics. So let me talk you through how this would work.
Yeah,
Who
sounds great.
Think of a powerful female figure, any time or place.
Angelina Jolie, she's one of my heroes because she works for the UN and does a lot for women and children. So
Fab. Okay. So um so now you don't have to close your eyes. This works if you're in the audience, close your eyes. Imagine that you are sat at a coffee table with Angelina Jolie as a very special guest, and you know, in your mind's eye, or you know, speak us through kind of what do you see across from the table from you? Describe her in a little bit more detail in terms of how she dresses, how she looks, the vibe she's giving off.
fantastic. Well, I have a few A-listers in my life, and sometimes they have this amazing energy and glow, which you don't get from the television or a series in the same way as when you meet them in real life. So I would imagine that she would have that kind of presence. And, you know, harking back to what you said earlier, it is about sort of taking your real space in a room or wherever it is in your life. So I think she'd be very, very confident, very graceful, probably quite intense. So yeah, that's how I would imagine her to be.
So intense in terms of the topics that she talks about, or the questions, or her attention. Can you unpack that?
Yeah, I think she would. I think because she's so well known, and you know, she supports so many wonderful causes, and she would have quite a commanding presence, and not put up with fools, as they say. So I think if you were around her, you'd probably have to come to the point of what you wanted to say, or if you were asking her questions, that's how I would assume she would be. But you know, very elegant and graceful within that, and not in a pressuring way, more in a be just super confident, very centered, feeling sort of part of the cosmos, that kind of vibe.
So hold, put a pin there. Okay. There
Yeah.
are different directions we can go. One is, in a really straightforward way, many A-listers and celebrities and people in history and people in our circle can act as mentors, and almost virtual mentors. I've seen this repeatedly. So if you're facing a challenge or opportunity, you can almost have a conversation with them, or imagine the advice that they would give to you, in terms of which direction they would go. We have permission to do this, and we don't realize it, and we also don't realize kind of the voices that are in our head already, and the fact that you can take those out and put different people's voices in. So with Angelina Jolie, for example, she could even help you to describe what to wear tonight, or how you rock up. So one of the first and fun ways is to invite Angelina Jolie to be your virtual mentor and to help solve a problem. And within a business sense, kind of I've played with this in terms of a virtual board that people might bring to the table. And so they might have the Pope and the king and the people there to bring different characteristics to the table. And I think when we project onto a personality, we bring that to life. It feels less abstract when we're bringing a person and imagining how they would respond, as opposed to saying, now, what would it mean to be graceful and intense in this situation? Do you get what I mean? It feels more abstract to describe a character, whereas if I said, well, what would Angelina say? You can go, oh, she would say that.
So true. Because if you feel like you already resonate with somebody in history, if you have a similar philosophy or ethos, but you haven't quite embodied that within your own life, and you need that extra guidance or confidence to be like that in every day, whether it is a work situation or a relationship or whatever, and you want to feel that kind of energy coming from you, then I think it's fantastic, because we aren't given that many role models as women. So I think I can think of many other women in my life that would really benefit from that as well, because we all hit roadblocks and hurdles pop up. So how have you used that in your life to sort of sail over issues or embrace issues? Or
so I've used that if I'm facing conflict, or I've used that also kind of public speaking as another area where fear can show up. And particularly for any women, you just feel like you feel like there's some reason why you shouldn't. And so it's like, well, why can't I have a bit of Dolly Parton in me as I go onto stage and just rock it, just show it with loads of energy and positivity and sassiness, and just play with those concepts. There's another technique that I use that does pull on those characteristics, and it's a small manifesting law of attraction element, and we have felt different emotions throughout our lives. We start feeling before we're born, and right way throughout childhood. So we felt ecstasy, we felt happiness, we've felt despair, fear, kind of every part of the spectrum. And so for us, summoning that emotion and bringing it through, and remembering that and spending time in that can shift your state, can shift your state of mind. So if I'm facing a particular challenge, I might remember courage, or I might remember calmness, or I might remember presence or curiosity, and deliberately bring that through. And I think especially when we look at other influencers, that's what they do well. And one way I I use this in particular is around leadership as well, and asking people to think of good leaders. And sometimes the good leaders that they summon don't necessarily do good things, but they're good leaders.
No, that makes complete sense. Yeah, no, I was at a gala actually this on Saturday, and it's the Creative Women's Forum, and there was some very top women that we both know, like Karen Millen. We had a few models, we had some TV presenters, even Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter was there, and they were all talking about their journeys, and like you said, how they've embodied maybe people in their family, or how their journey was. You know, Karen Millen, as we all know, has had a difficult road, and she's overcome it, and now, you know, she's working again with Boohoo, and she's released a founder's range of clothes. So, you know, even though she went bankrupt, had a very, very difficult time personally, and, you know, and as she said on the day, she said, you know, I listened to the wrong people, where I should put my money, and had a lot of advisors that obviously, you know, had a self-interest way above her interest. And what I found in the networking sessions as well, that there was a lot of very strong women there. They were embodying sort of healing around their networks, and some of them had gone into it professionally as a second career, and it was a very different feel of an event from the usual events that I go to, and you also go to, you know, very tech driven, very male dominated, very kind of competitive energy. So I really felt it was the complete opposite. It was, you know, many women coming and saying, how can I help you? What can we do together? And so I think you would have loved it.
Yeah, and what you're describing is a kind of range of skills and a range of characteristics that people are bringing to the table. And another really strong female power, and she's quite polarizing, is Maggie Thatcher. Now, you don't have to like Maggie Thatcher or dislike her to appreciate the skill set that she had and that she brought, you know, and
Yeah.
kind of with the work around this divine feminine, it's what is it that you admire? What is it that you recognize that's resonating with you, that's reminding you of how you brought that to the table, or how you could bring that to the table and bring that forward?
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think unfortunately a lot of women have the critical inner voice that we find it very hard to escape, and it follows us into every decade, and we always think, oh, this year or this decade hopefully will be different. But, you know, we have learned this critical inner voice, or you could do better, and you could be more confident, or you could look, you know, thinner or taller, or whatever society is suggesting at the time. So I think you're right. I think if you embody, you know, people that you admire, and like you said, you don't have to agree with everything about that person, but if you want to copy one attribute that really is resonating with you, and like you said, you know, Margaret Thatcher was definitely sort of the Churchill of our time, and sort of led us forward quickly, whereas a lot of leaders now are very bumbling and scared to commit to things, and, you know, not really making any actionable decisions. So yeah, you're right. I'm sure a lot of us could learn from her stoutness.
Yeah, we don't have to be attached to a fixed identity for ourselves at all. The situations change, you know, kind of when you think about running from a fire as opposed to turning up for coffee, or, you know, the situations around you can change quite quickly. Your relationships change, and so, you know, being able to play with many aspects of who you could be gives you much more flexibility, and also opens so many more doors. It's great fun, and it's great fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, imagine the impact if you take it from strength to strength. So how are you using this in your everyday relationships, and how is it, you know, creating wonderful kind of glimpses of creativity and passion in the communities that you're in and you're leading?
Well, so I use the concept in a number of different ways. So sometimes I use it in a team dynamic sense, and we might play with Belbin, who talks about different kinds of hats, and it really distills down to very small categories. But I tend to use it more with individual leaders that I'm coaching with, and really encouraging them to explore what this means to them, how it shows up for them. I'm also, as mentioned, starting to develop a set of meditations that encourage us to explore some of the historical figures and to reclaim their stories. So Athena is going to be one of the first ones, and really her strategic mouse is absolutely brilliant, and kind of like the steely armor and the poise that she brings. So this meditation, transports you through the ages back in time, so that you are in Athena's court, and she is holding you in her steely gaze, and she is offering some of that back to you. It's just gorgeous. So that's coming up in the coming weeks as I finalize the audio on it. But yeah, it's on the way.
Oh, brilliant. Sounds perfect. So you get us in the spirit for the festive season where we're going to have going to be rushing around like headless chickens trying to organize everything. So I think we'll probably need that powerful gaze.
Boudica on the high street, Oxford Street and Boudica to get through. That's what I encourage.
Yeah. World record running around Hamleys and H&M or whatever.
Although please wear clothes if you're going shopping.
It's very true. It's very true. Yeah. So what are the next steps apart from your meditations? Are you I know you're heavily involved in education, and that's very exciting, and sort of climate change as well. So I guess you're using this in your everyday work.
Yeah, and encouraging the curiosity among people. Really, we have more influences and more influences than we realize. So sometimes, as I've mentioned at the beginning of the episode, sometimes it's about identifying those beliefs and where they came from, and deciding whether you need them or not. So spirituality, for example, is one that, for me, as I grew up as a child, I believed in fairies and witches, and chased butterflies around. That was my happy place. But as you become a teenager, and then as you go through school, and then you have science, and then you have friends that don't like that, so you start minimizing that side of you, or you kind of go, oh, I'm a bit crazy if, or I'm a bit X if Y. And you don't realize until you stop and stop take how many of those beliefs that you hold on to. Sometimes as well, it's not safe to be practicing or believing in magic. So if you look to the Salem trials, for example, it's not even safe to dream or have visions in your dreams, because you'll be burned at the stake. And it feels quite abstract to bring some of that through, but I truly believe that it's hard coded into our belief systems in a really subconscious way. So kind of one aspect is really trying to encourage people, especially leaders, to go quite deep and internal, to explore that, and to shed that if you don't need it. You kind of rule it out. Why should we be governed by rules that were in place 200, 300 years ago, for example? We don't necessarily need them. And so in education, when people ask for strategies, I kind of encourage them to look in the mirror first, and then start to look at changing other people, and then also bringing through diversity of examples of small businesses or public sector businesses or tech businesses or large corporates, so that people are quite curious about what's working, and then curious enough to find out what it would feel like if they gave it a try and learned. So that's whether that's in my teaching or my mentoring or one-to-one work. I really bring that through.
Well, I think having a parallel world, whether that is the spiritual world or a magical world, I think it's a great place to escape to. I remember having a conversation with a manager at WH Smith actually, and after the recession, and they said in 2008, and they said, you know, fantasy books and things like Harry Potter and, you know, spiritual books, the sales went obviously through the roof in that time because people did start to look for that deeper experience of life at whatever level that is, and, you know, looking for a bit of magic and escapism, but looking for guidance somewhere else other than, you know, we might say the mundane. So I think it's like you said, it's a natural thing for us to do. You know, we're born into a world that is very magical, but depending on how you look at it, if you're looking at it through science sort of lens, then it sort of strips the magic away. But I'm sure, you know, you've watched many a David Attenborough documentary where there is nothing but magic happening in front of you, and the way creatures and plants and ecosystems gently balance each other. It's just, yeah, it's incredible, absolutely incredible.
There's some really beautiful kind of leaders in terms of self-development. There's this series called quantum jumps in terms of meditation. You can find them on YouTube. And again, these are guided meditations that encourage you to jump to a parallel universe, into a parallel self that has grown and developed, often without restriction or with abundance of something else. So you can jump into a world where you are a feng shui master, and start to examine kind of how you live differently and what that looks like. And then what's really key is to feel that energy and bring it back. So yeah, who knows what is the truth? But actually, if you got deep and philosophical about it, kind of the truth is really only a construct of our minds. There is no truth. So why not create your own?
Exactly. And we jump in and out of them all day. I mean, you know, when we're watching a film or when we're listening to music, that's, you know, like you said, that's somebody else's truth, and they've pulled us into it for a 5-minute song or an hour and a half to watch a film. And yeah, that for that hour and a half, we are in that reality. We are feeling what the characters are feeling. So it's kind of an agreed dream state, you know. And even when they monitor our brains, you know, when we're watching things, we go into a relative dream state when we're watching television. And I'm sure that's why people watch TV before they go to sleep, because it's comforting and gets us ready for that brain waves.
Yeah. And you know, and one of the joyous things about growing up as a woman, particularly a Western woman, is that you have so many tools and opportunities to try out different aspects of your life. And fashion, for example, fashion and cosmetics, or even the absence of cosmetics, gives you an opportunity to try out a different role or a different persona. When you look at how cosplay has grown so much over recent years, and you know what will happen when we're all living in the metaverse, you know how we express ourselves and how we show up is going to be very different in years to come. Yeah, so why not use that to power your journey?
Absolutely agree. I've gone to Comic-Con dressed as Wonder Woman before, so I think you're right. We need to find that playfulness again and be able to bring that back into our working life or our relationships. Because yeah, there are some great characters now that we can enjoy on the television and at Comic-Con.
Definitely. Definitely. I agree.
Fantastic. So is there anything else that we should be reading or listening to?
So I think I you know, like you, I adore a bit of sci-fi, and I, like you probably, have rejoiced at the diversity in roles that are coming forward. And you mentioned Wonder Woman then. Wonder Woman was an absolute celebration of feminine power with a female director at the helm, So many different characteristics, but all kind of embodying that really deep strength. So sci-fi has shifted quite dramatically in the last 5 years, I'd say, in terms of diversity and the strength of writing of female characters. So go and explore some sci-fi for sure. Dig deep into stories of the ancients. Just be curious about who were the previous queens, and what worked well there, in terms of their power set. And I think rather than an area to explore, a tool that I would encourage everybody to take is that tool of curiosity, and to start to unpack what's going on. What is it about that person? What is it about what they're saying? What is it about how they're making me feel? Do I like that? Do I reject that? What would that feel like? And to just bring that in and see where it goes.
Fantastic advice. I completely agree with you. I think Star Trek and Star Wars has done some great spin-offs recently, and a whole sort of spectrum of characters and wonderful storylines, so we can all sort of take that away with us. And there's a lot of programs on Gaia which are fantastic, like Missing Links, which merges science, spirituality, history, all into one glorious series. So I definitely think that's one to watch out for.
Well, and even so this weekend, there was an 8-hour endurance car race in Bahrain, and in one of the categories, an all-female crew were the winners. They won the very last race of the season. They took it, and it's the first time that it's happened, and it's just incredible. So there are stories coming through in sports. We've talked about film stars and singers. There's some really strong stories of people showing their resilience, overcoming challenges, setting the bar high, nurturing and encouraging others around them and lifting them up as well. So look for those instead of all the bitchy hate and rolls of hat and that's perfect. It's my perfect kitchen, and it's I love a nice kitchen, nice clean kitchen. I prefer kind of like Spears personally, but and follow that. And again, kind of social media, love it or loathe it. Actually, when you start looking, there's so much content that's out there, and new content comes through all of the time. So it will bring itself to your door.
No, we're very lucky. We don't have to, as when we were growing up, go to a library and hunt down the dustiest book there to try and find some information. Let's go on an expedition. But no, now we're so lucky. Like you said, it's straight to our phone. We can look up anything we need, ask friends to look things up for us. So yeah, we're super lucky. It's a great time to be alive.
It's limitless, really. Limitless power, limitless opportunity. Just got to realize it and play with it.
Exactly. Wonderful. Well, thank you, Claire. Is there anything else you wanted to share with our audience, or?
No. It's just been a delight having you here with me, Z. Thank you for being in this space. And I'm really looking forward to the work that we do, and you can probably see that. But Z's a proper powerhouse. The first time I met Z, I got a little bit of a girl crush on Z, because just like, whoa, this is an amazing woman. And and so kind of we've grown to be good friends. But actually you exemplify grace, resilience, confidence, a desire to really have an impact on this world, and definitely a woman to watch. So I'm humbled that you're here and that you quizzed me.
So recently, but I'm definitely looking forward to watching how both our journeys grow and crossover, and they already have multiple times. So I know that we're going to support each other into creating many dreams in the future, and like you said, helping communities grow, because we can see how important that is.
So, listeners, I'm going to wrap up. I hope you've enjoyed our conversation today, and start to explore different aspects of divine feminine power, and just little nuggets I hope resonate with you. And please do like, share, give us feedback. Let me know who you admire. Let me know who you really don't like, because we all learn from that. And let's play with these characteristics. But for now, thank you very much for tuning in, and see you again soon. Cheers. Bye, Zee.
Bye.